Peace, family. This is Tariq. Welcome back again for another day, another episode of Knowledge Corner. All right, today's insight. Don't dim God's light within you. Don't dim God's light within you. I get this from the song Love Jones by Monroe. This is off his album entitled Blessed. Which was released on May 13th of 2021. Song is basically about a relationship. He's saying he has a Love Jones for a shorty. And within the actual song itself, he actually mentions Lorenz Tate and Nia Long from the movie Love Jones from the 90s. If you've ever seen that movie, a lot of people love that movie. I myself, I'm okay with it. It's not one of my favorite movies from that era. But if it was on TV, I would sit down and I will watch it. But there is one part of the song that always resonated with me. Is when Monroe says, "I just want to see you shine." Now, for my message, the message is twofold. You don't want to dim your light because God gave you that light for a reason. But there's also people who want your light to be dimmed because it's too bright around them. And a lot of times when they say something to you, they're doing that because your light makes them feel uncomfortable. I've learned that over the years that a lot of people will want your light dimmed because people will gravitate towards you and not towards them. And that is very selfish. That is very egotistical, but that's also human nature. So I'm not going to sit up here and condemn anyone for feeling the way they feel. I just know from being on a more spiritual level at this point, I'm never going to allow anyone to dim my light again. It's not happening. I've worked extremely hard to get to this point to where I can even be on camera to even say to anyone, my light is given to me by God, and I'm always going to make sure that my light shines bright because he gave it to me for a reason. We all have our own gifts that God gives us. That is a part of your light. I've always been very, very comfortable with conveying how I feel about certain things. One part of that is communication. So in order for me to show you the light and show you the gift that God gave me, I have to be able to communicate thoroughly and thoughtfully and convey that message to the listener and to the viewer in order for God's gift to shine for me. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your God works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Again, do not dim your light for God. Wow, I'm up here and I'm looking like a fatty. Sitting up here, seem like I'm melting into the seat. But you do not want your light to be dimmed. And even in this actual, verse, from the Bible, God is saying that he does not want, your light to be dim. You don't want to do that. But again, like I said, there are going to be people that come into your life that want your light to be dimmed because it does something for them that, for whatever reason, I've been around a lot of people in my life. And at one point in my life, my self-esteem was so low that I didn't realize that there were a lot of people who gravitated towards me because of the light that I didn't even know I had. But now I understand that I always had that light. The light has always been within me, and your light has always been within you. You just didn't realize that light was there. So for me, what I have learned is through meditation and through prayer and through fasting that my light was given to me by God for a reason. And one of those reasons now is what I'm doing with these insights. He wants me to convey his message, and I have no problem doing that. But I had to get to a point to where I understood that I'm not going to allow anyone to dim my light. Surah, An-Nur. Nur in Arabic means light. So this is the chapter of light. This is the 24th surah or surah in the actual Quran. This is the 35th verse or ayat. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The example of this light is like a niche within which is a lamp. The lamp enclosed in glass. The glass, as it were, a brilliant star, lit from a blessed tree, an olive, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil is well nigh luminous. Through fire scarce touch it, light upon light. Allah does guide whom he will to his light. Allah does set forth parables for men, and Allah does know all things. Allah does set forth parables for men, and Allah does know all things. Some people say that the Bible is filled with parables. That comes from God. A parable, is a story. A lot of times it's not going to be a straightforward story. It's going to be something that allows the reader to view things and enhance those things through the actual parable itself. So again, you do not want to dim your light for anyone, period, point blank. Never dim your light. I can remember years ago, I was in a situation where I was around a bunch of friends, and at one point, I had females, women gravitating towards me. And one of my male friends that was with me, he didn't like that so much. So he started to make fun of me. And because I said, my self-esteem was so low, I didn't realize that these women were coming around for me because they thought I was cute. So he started making fun of me. And of course, that made me feel even worse. And one thing as a man, don't ever in your life make fun or talk down on another man in order for you to look better in the eyes of a woman. That's just whack. And a lot of guys do that. A lot of women do that. That's just whack. You never want to go into a relationship under false pretenses. And those false pretenses are that this particular person liked this other person for a reason. They saw that light in that person, and you're trying to dim that light because you want that person. And a lot of times in this particular situation, in this case, he only wanted to smash. And, you know, that's cool. You know, I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm not saying that I wasn't going to be doing that. But what I'm saying is you do not talk down on someone else in order for yourself to look better in that person's eyes. That's whack to me. And a lot of people do that. Don't dim your light. Don't dim God's light. He put it in you for a reason. And you have to understand that. So, what is your light? What has God put in you that you are not using to your full potential? You need to figure that out. You need to work on that in order for you to become a better person and also for you to become closer to God. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and positive energy activates constant elevation. Peace.